Life Curriculum, learning to address impairment and fatigue to enhance patient safety.
Yes, I'm aware of that situation. Well, I certainly hope not. But maybe these new guidelines will help us with
Dr. Wilson, one of the residents is here to see you. They said they had an appointment and they have to get back to the clinic soon.
Let me get back to you. This has got to stop. Can't you tell when I'm on the phone? Dr. Woodruff could wait. He just wanted to tell me about his new anxiety of the week, anyhow. I can't go on listening to all these residents' petty problems. I just don't have the time.
In this vignette, Dr. Wilson appears to have become frazzled with all the duties that he is responsible for as program director. In so doing, he has made some mistakes in his actions. One mistake is that he has inappropriately divulged personal information about a resident to his administrative assistant. Another mistake is that he blows off steam to someone who is not in a position to help him with the situation. Let's rewind this vignette and see how Dr. Wilson can act in a more appropriate and productive manner.
I'm being overrun with residents wanting advice on their problems. Tell me, how do you deal with these type of residents in your program?
This time, Dr. Wilson has waited to talk to an appropriate person. Dr. Cheek is an objective person unfamiliar with Dr. Wilson's specific situations, but someone who is actually in a similar position. One of the best ways of dealing with the role of program director is to share experiences and discussions with other program directors.
Welcome to this Staying in the Program Director Role section of the LIFE program. Program directors often work autonomously as the only person in a division or department with their type of specialized knowledge or expertise, and much of that expertise has been gained from on-the-job training. Often, the program director, who will be referred to as PD, is pushed, or in a more formal sense perhaps, escorted into the role without having the opportunity for preparation or gradual development. Yet, the role of PD requires a delicate balancing act between senior experienced physician, teacher, evaluator, manager, administrator, mentor, and coach. There are a myriad of academic as well as administrative duties that the PD is responsible for, and they all have to be performed on an as-needed basis. Rewards associated with the role of PD involve serving as teacher and mentor for the residents and developing lifelong relationships and appreciation from residents. Surveys of PDs show that the most enjoyable activities associated with the job are teaching and mentoring, and these rank far above all other duties. Attracting and selecting applicants also ranks as one of the more enjoyable activities. Some enjoy faculty development and helping more junior faculty progress in teaching expertise. Others love curriculum development or the challenge of figuring out ever better assessment tools in their specialty. Nonetheless, PDs have a high turnover rate. According to a 2001 survey of internal medicine PDs, 40 to 45% of PDs stay in the position 3 years or less. The top reason for leaving the role of PD was the large amount of administrative work and administrative hassles. Other causes for job dissatisfaction include colleague relationships that become difficult, scant resources, personnel and financial, and therefore having to do more with less. A lack of recognition, a lack of preparedness for dealing with problem residents.
The program director's role can be one of the most rewarding in all of medical education. The opportunity to design and implement residency training and then watch those labors result in resident growth is truly a wonderful experience. In addition, the PD's role can be one of the most difficult in residency education. It can easily be viewed as being caught between the rock and the hard place. On the one hand, the rock represents the expectation and demands from administrators and the governing bodies. These include making sure that the program, the residents, and the faculty within it satisfy hospital and departmental requirements, such as meeting clinical productivity goals, while at the same time remaining within a tight budget. Another crucial administrative duty is to make sure that the residency program is in compliance with RRC and GMEC requirements for accreditation purposes. These requirements involve many aspects of residency training, including meeting all RRC mandates, reporting duty hours, evaluating residents and faculty, documenting procedures, and reporting residents with problems, as well as setting up for site visits and following accreditation procedures. Other regulations that PDs must comply with are those imposed by the State Medical Board, JCO, the DEA, the OIG, and the CMS.
One of the PD's challenges is to make the residency program work within the hospital system. There is a code of conduct for residents that is at least as stringent as for hospital employees, and policies on patient safety and employee health and safety that must be adhered to. There also must be adherence to pertinent policies from their parent organization, be it hospital or school of medicine, when assigning residents to rotations outside of the hospital, and it all has to be documented. The current financial reality of residency training is another part of the rock for PDs. Federal funds and hospital resources are covering a smaller percentage of trainee expenses. As a result, each department has to come up with more funds for their program activities, usually from clinical revenue and grants, and the PD is frequently expected to administer more with less. Some RRCs stipulate how much time the PD must spend as PD, which hopefully provides a mechanism for the PD to negotiate protected time for his or her role. In other instances, the PD role has an unpaid mandate, and PDs may lose salary since the educational and administrative time comes at the cost of clinical time, where they do get paid, or research time, where they may get tangible academic rewards such as promotion and tenure. Resident evaluation is a duty that is closely regulated. It can come under even more scrutiny when dealing with residents with problems. Formal summative evaluations must be performed typically every 6 months, in some specialties more frequently, and include assessment of the 6 core competencies as identified by the ACGME. The PD must also assure that residents are trained in each specialty according to RRC requirements. This requires cooperation from the faculty and even support staff. It is often left to the PD to design the method of evaluation and assessment and to retrieve the evaluations and assessments from the faculty in a timely manner. Evaluating residents with problems is discussed in more detail in the legal issue section of the CD-ROM. There should also be a program for residents to evaluate the teaching faculty and each other.
If meeting the needs of the ROC wasn't demanding enough, the PD must also address the needs and expectations of the residents and faculty, or the hard place, which encompasses all aspects of residency training and education. This area is frequently the preferred area of focus for the program director when compared to the ROC. Working with residents can be very rewarding. However, there are also important restrictions and guidelines in this area that the PD needs to be aware of. First of all, in order to educate residents about the practice of medicine, the PD must stay current on the trends in healthcare as well as the trends in medical education. Trends in medical education include moving away from a structure and process-based system of counting numbers of weeks on a particular rotation or the number of procedures to a competency-based system. This type of system takes into account that it may take an individual different amounts of time or a different number of cases to develop competency during the rotation. The residents themselves can be very vocal about their perception of their training needs. They almost always appear to the faculty as being short-sighted. They are concerned about how the program is now and less concerned about how it may be in the future. They don't care how it has improved from a long time ago or how it will be better off when they leave. Changes in the program from what they expected when they interviewed can be very disconcerting to them, even when these changes are driven by RRC or forces beyond the PD's control. They often view life in a different way than do the faculty and administrators, and have their own view of how the training program should be run. The PD is often the first person to hear about resident complaints or requests for change. More on this issue will be covered in the generation sections of the CD-ROM. The faculty's needs and demands are not necessarily consistent with expectation and demands of the administrating bodies or of the residents. The limit on residency duty hours is a case in point. Because the residents' hours are restricted, but the faculty's are not, there are often scheduling challenges that may need to be covered by the faculty. When faculty members do fill in, and they may need to take time off the next day, thereby leaving the program with fewer supervisors for residents. Alternatively, if time off cannot be granted, then fatigue becomes a factor, and the PD is often in the crossfire of these concerns as well.
Assisting residents in the transition from being a student to becoming a practicing physician involves exposing them to many different types of educational experiences. The PD has to formulate clear goals for residents and help design a curriculum that will help guide them through, as well as provide constructive warnings when there is a misstep. With increased diversity in the resident population in terms of age, gender, race, disability, and nationality, comes more of a need for the PD to become flexible and to assist in melding differences among individuals. The methods for accomplishing this are discussed in more detail in the Among the Generations in Medicine section of this CD-ROM. Due to the fact that younger generations today are becoming more vocal about stating their likes and dislikes, you'll probably hear many of your residents' opinion about different aspects of the program. As a general rule, they will not appreciate having to adhere to any policies that strictly define their appearance or their time. These are areas that your program may be able to afford some flexibility in, or if not, be sure the residents are educated about the basis for the policies and why they are important.
The last topic of the PD's role in resident training is a very important one that deserves some discussion. It has to do with the needs of residents and the PD's role in addressing those needs. In educational terms, the residency can be viewed as a period of apprenticeship, that is, a transition between medical student and independently practicing physician. But in practical terms, the resident is expected to perform the duties of a physician and is viewed as a practicing physician by the hospital. This is such a drastic change in responsibility from the structured student life that many residents find themselves floundering in their new role and need a senior advisor to help them. Indeed, research has shown that mentoring and personal interactions with attending faculty helps not only alleviate stress, but also helps promote resident training. The problem occurs when the PD is caught in this role as senior advisor. The temptation for any PD is to want to be all things to all people. The PD certainly has the necessary training and experience to know how to advise trainees, and serving as senior mentor or advisor is the PD's chance to do a job that, 1, they have the expertise for, and 2, has the potential to result in appreciation by the trainee. This is the point in the discussion where a very large warning sign should appear. It is extremely important for the PD to maintain appropriate boundaries with residents. The PD cannot serve as a mentor, advisor, or even physician for any resident. This is because the PD has to maintain his or her role as evaluator. The PD is the one who has to maintain objective evaluations of every resident, because in the end, it is the PD who must be able to certify that a resident is fit and trained to practice medicine. This is probably the largest responsibility of every PD, and the pitfall that can result in the most serious situations.
Hello, Rachel. How are things going for you?
You know, I'm really not sure if I'm doing any better than I was 6 weeks ago when I first came in to discuss this problem.
Is your father handling his condition okay?
Yes, his prognosis hasn't changed, but he's able to focus on the here and now and enjoy what he has. At first, I was having problems being preoccupied with my dad's condition, but now I'm suffering extreme stress when I think about seeing patients, because when I will have to deliver a bad prognosis, it's as if I'm going to be delivering an extremely hard blow. A hard blow like my dad suffered when he first learned of his prognosis. I just can't separate, and I'm even having nightmares about it. I think that I should take a few more weeks off. Dr. Schaefer, I was wondering if you could document this past 6-week period as an elective so that I could still receive full credit and pay.
No, you should know that I wouldn't be able to do that. I have been your advisor and your proponent for getting you a leave of absence. I know you're really suffering, and I'd like to be able to help you, but I cannot change what's documented in the file.
Dr. Schaefer, if you were truly as concerned as you say, then you could certainly find a way to help me out. This is the last request I will make, but I need to be able to stay on time to complete the program. Otherwise, it'll push back everything, and I really need a full-paying job to help support my dad.
I'm sorry. There's nothing more I can do.
I can't believe this. I actually trusted you as a friend and advisor, and you're just going to leave me hanging? You should have told me that this would delay my completing the program.
It is apparent from this conversation that Dr. Schaefer has become too involved with Dr. Miller's problem. He has acted as her advisor and has afforded her more leniency than is probably allowed in the program's policies for impaired residents. In short, giving Dr. Miller deferential treatment has resulted in Dr. Schaefer being dragged into a situation that at best is emotionally harmful to the resident and at worst could end up in a legal battle.
Dr. Miller, you know that I'm concerned about you. I was wondering, how has it been going with the Physicians Health Program that I referred you to?
Well, they referred me to an independent psychiatrist. I think that she's pretty helpful, but the going is slow.
Let's see what the psychiatrist says and see what they recommend. As you know, the Physicians Health Program has the complete say over when you are ready to return to your rotation. Getting back healthy is better than rushing your return. And as I think you know, I cannot misrepresent what you've really been doing for the past 6 weeks. Let's rely on the expertise of the Physicians Health Program.
In the second attempt, the PD has taken a better course of action. Even though the PD has expressed his concern for the resident, he has not tried to fix the problem.
When the PD becomes aware of a resident who may be impaired for whatever reason, he or she should immediately call on resources such as the State Physicians Health Program to introduce the resident and at the same time tell the resident to get in touch with the PHP. In this way, the PD is not directly involved with the resident's personal health, and an objective party will assist in the intervention. Another advantage in referring the resident to the PHP is that there is immunity from liability for the hospital while the peer review functions are performed. Other health services that are available within an institution and are usually involved with intervening for impaired residents are the Employee Assistance Program, the EAP, and Office for Employee Occupational Health, the EOH. The benefit of a state PHP may be their greater experience in dealing just with physicians. Health and impairment issues are not the only concerns that a PD will be asked to address. It is critical that for any issue involving resident impairment, the PD should prevent himself or herself from offering treatment advice. The PD must know the resources and refer the resident. These resources may include faculty from another department who are willing to serve as objective academic advisors, independent counselors, and community programs.
Career coaching is one such professional resource available to residents to assist them in their development. Career coaching may be available along with other health resources within a dedicated office at your institution, a division of an employee assistance program, for example, or through a professional coaching practice that the employee assistance program recommends. Unlike therapy, which addresses past issues revolving around emotional healing or relief from psychological pain, career coaching addresses the present through action planning with an emphasis on the future. Career coaching can take place concurrently with psychotherapy, but it is not a substitute for therapy when it is needed. Career coaches can be licensed psychologists, social workers, or professional counselors with specialized training in coaching. Coaches can also be certified and members of the International Coaching Federation, the ICF. You can obtain further information about coaching from the ICF website at www.coachingfederation.org. The program director should be familiar with all of these professional resources or know who to contact to obtain recommendations. He or she can then guide the resident towards the most appropriate resource depending upon the resident's needs. Career coaching is probably not currently utilized as much as it could be. In the present state of medicine, where priorities, skills, and even the roles of physicians are rapidly changing, medical trainees may not always be able to reflectively discern the career path for which they are best suited. Many residents have entered a long pathway towards becoming a doctor that may have started in high school or junior high. In addition, a residency training environment may be very different from the envisioned future of a physician's practice. Residents may be uncertain about the next and, in some ways, most substantial career choice. This is where career coaching can really help your residents. Career coaching can help the residents separate their personal vision from the reality of their current career path if the two don't match. Extreme mismatches between the two can produce stress and substandard performance. One of the steps in career coaching is to align personal goals and current career path so that an optimum fit is achieved. During coaching, the resident will define their career goals, which could range from such objectives as exploring ways to maintain a work-life balance or enhancing interpersonal effectiveness, to being able to employ an important set of skills. The resident's skills, values, interests, and personality style will be assessed relative to their goals and career directions to explore the best suited career path. At times, assessment tools such as the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the Strong Inventory, or the DISC assessment can be used in the career process. Career coaching can also help the resident address other topics such as transitioning into a new subspecialty, performance challenges, leadership effectiveness, workplace conflicts, as well as strategic planning related to career advancement. This all can contribute to producing a more resilient resident. Resiliency is increasingly recognized as an important quality for all physicians and is addressed in the generation section of the CD-ROM. Beyond the personal assessment, career coaching is collaborative, supportive, and focused on developing a plan of action and the most efficacious and practical method for pursuing the resident's goals and objectives. Even if the resident's career path doesn't need to change, career coaching can help a resident to identify and utilize their skills and/or explore different ways to approach their training so as to enhance their well-being. Coaching can help residents focus on time management, to learn and practice more effective conflict management skills, and optimize their performance within a group. It can help residents learn how to give and receive constructive feedback, supervise others, and work with challenging patients while identifying ways that their own buttons get pushed when dealing with complex interactions. Also, coaching can help residents set more appropriate boundaries and deal with the inevitable intense feelings that are likely to develop while caring for patients. Residents as employees can only be helped to optimize their performance in a residency program by utilizing effective consultation services such as career coaching. Coaching also introduces residents to valuable tools that, even if they feel aren't needed now, may be useful to them at some point during their medical career journey.
Referring residents to objective professionals is one way to maintain appropriate boundaries. Carefully designing and writing and adhering to policies and guidelines is another. Each program must have policies for time off or leave of absence, for rotation scheduling changes, for moonlighting, for remediation, probation, and dismissal. Then, if these policies are applied to each individual regardless of the situation, the PD will be able to consider himself or herself as successful. The nature of the PD role and the necessity of maintaining boundaries can produce a sense of isolation for the program director, which in itself can be a form of stress. For this reason, PDs need to be aware of the network opportunities that are safe from conflicts of interest. These include creating a professional network with other PDs, either within a geographic region or within a specialty. Sometimes peer support from a faculty member is helpful as long as that faculty member is removed from the situation and that person has a good sense of boundaries. Networking through professional development opportunities is another option. There are opportunities through graduate medical education groups such as the ACGME or the AAMC. The Parker Palmer Award is given to 10 residency program directors each year who demonstrate commitment to teaching and development of innovative approaches for educating physicians in training. The recipients are honored at the ACGME meeting, and there is a retreat associated with the award.
Professional development can also involve becoming an active member of a society. Many of the specialties have medical education societies associated with them. Examples are the Society for Teachers of Family Medicine Training, the Association of Professors of Gynecology and Obstetrics, or the Council on Resident Education in Obstetrics and Gynecology, and the Association of Program Directors in Surgery. If there is not a medical education society within your specialty, you could consider forming one. Many specialty groups have active listservs. Even if you can't ever attend a meeting, you can connect with others online. Through such peer groups, you may be able to obtain a job description, an outline of promotion and tenure, and information on reimbursement for your PD role. All of this information may be useful for further negotiation with your division chief or chair. You may be able to borrow ideas for curricula in your field or templates for assessment tools so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The PD should develop a relationship with his or her DIO, who may have helpful ideas on how to develop yourself and your career. They may have already helped develop promotion and tenure rules for your position as PD and be able to share best practices and information from past challenging situations. Often they are the source of institutional wisdom, most of which is not written down. Also, training associate program directors is one way to gain a source of peer support, as well as to have faculty with expertise to fill in when you need to take time off. Networking with other PDs in your own institution or neighboring institution is another possibility. A lot of the issues you encounter are generic, even if the specialty is different. If you anticipate remaining a PD for a significant portion of your career, find your own mentor. This could be a different mentor than your mentors before you became a PD. This person can help promote your career and well-being. Seek out personal development opportunities, specific PD ones, or more general leadership management opportunities. ACGME, AAMC, and specialty societies have these, but your school of medicine or hospital may have leadership options as well. Some turn to an executive coach. If so, find a good one. Ideally, someone for whom you have good recommendations from peers in similar situations and with similar needs. Private support systems are important also and can include family, friends who are not in medicine, and independent counselors. In addition, it is helpful to be well-versed in stress management strategies such as ERASE, discussed in the first CD-ROM of this program. Other outlets that can provide satisfaction are hobbies, professional writing, or professional speaking opportunities. Sometimes serving as a clinical practitioner who sees patients or as a researcher can serve as a break from the administrative and managerial tasks and remind you of how rewarding your field is and why you want to be involved in training the next generation.